Every day it's a getting closer to driving my bus while I have a heat stroke, 'cause it's too hot for this crap. I legitimately have every single air conditioner running on this thing every afternoon, and it's still hot. Thank you, Thomas. Not the person Thomas, the bus company Thomas, for putting air there and here, but they don't put squat in the middle. Everybody who ever sits in the middle of these things dies of heat. But anyway, now I got this seat cover last year and it stayed in place and never moved, and every single time I get on the bus this year it's moved. What's up with that? I don't know. It's a little bit toasty out here. Right, let's go to the high school. So far my tally this afternoon of weird looks for having a camera on my head is at 3. We'll see how many I can get by the end of today. I think I magically got power steering fluid. How the heck? It was down to right, like there this morning, and now it's come back. That's weird. Okay. Come on. There you go. I don't know why this bus doesn't like to take the dipstick back. Clean it off, check again. Skippity-doo. Oil levels are fine. So we will stick that back in here, like so. Check the fan belt, because I know the day I don't is the day it's gonna break. Everything else is fine on this side, I think. Wires and hoses all look good. This bus just had its service a couple days ago, so I can't anticipate anything being drastically wrong with it. Coolant's fine. That belt's fine. That's fine. That's fine. All of the water valves are open for the heaters. Not like I need them. But I'm not going to close them, because I know as soon as I do, we'll get to December and I'll forget that I closed them and then be very angry that I can't get the heaters to come on. I have driven a bus in 26° Fahrenheit weather with no heaters. Was not the most pleasant experience ever. Would not recommend, but at least in that case you can layer up. Like, if it's hot, there's only so many layers you can take off before you get arrested. Like, you know what I'm saying? Right. It's toasty. Beepy beepy. Check all your things. Yeah. Arm that. Fires right away, as always. Wait for oil pressure. There we go. Fast idle. Cool. You'll notice in the winter time the water temperature takes about, I want to say 20 minutes to actually get up to operating temp, whereas in the summer it's already higher than 100 just from sitting here, because, you know, climate. And within a couple of minutes it's gonna be right there, if that. I can already see it moving, actually. Air is climbing, fuel and depth's fine. We are in service now, so I'll throw the strobe on, and without further ado, some air condition. Yeah, there we go. The dash air is hit or miss whether it wants, whether it likes to work, but today it seems to be working, which is good. Headlights and markers can come on. I gotta wait for that to time sync. We'll reset my passenger counter. And the reason I flipped that piece of paper over is because it has students' names on it. So obviously I'm not gonna put that on the internet.
159 to 401.
If you're wondering why I have that piece of paper, that is the high school passenger manifest of sorts from the other bus that I pick up his high schoolers. I've had some people bus hopping when they're not supposed to, so I'm gonna have to start checking off names, I guess. And if you're wondering what that sticky stuff is on the floor, where is it? Yeah, right here-ish. Some knucklehead spilled a sticky drink back here and didn't bother to tell me. So by the time I found it at the end of my run, when I did my walkthrough, it had pretty much dried. So now I got sticky something and sand all over the floor. I tried to get to the pressure washer this morning to tidy it up, but the pressure washer, if I just show you, is over there. And that little road is the only way to get into the fuel bay. So because the queue to get fuel this morning, there was like 17 million buses waiting, I decided, you know what, I can't be bothered, I'll deal with it later. All right, these down, these up. Basically the idea is, I just now realized that's broken, good to know. Basically the idea is these outer vents hit these people in the back, and then the middle vents send it down the ceiling, and as it falls, because cold air falls, we know this, it'll kind of come up here and spread out, kind of disperse down the middle. That's the idea. Does it work like that? No. And the other side of that is everybody that sits here gets nice, lovely cold air condition, and everybody from about here back gets nothing. And me, because I have this massive piece of glass that just, the sun just fries me. Whatever, I'll stop talking about how hot it is. This thing has time synced finally, so we'll clock in like that. Continue. No, I'm not doing an well, I am doing an inspection, but I'm not logging it. Our protocol for that changed this year. 99 p.m. Yep, go, finish, start route. Yeah, the protocol for that changed. Basically, instead of doing a pre-trip and post-trip and recording it, you still do them in practice, but you don't log them. You do a pre-trip at the very beginning of the morning and then post-trip at the very end of the afternoon. Something about saving paperwork. I didn't completely understand what they were saying, but right, let's go take a walk outside, shall we? Apparently my butt is magic, because that's apparently how the seat cushion moves. Strobes on. I'll actually close that so I can watch the ambers in the mirror. Hazards, headlight markers. There's the ambers, and this thing's telling me the back's lighting up too. Switch to reds, and we'll go take a walk outside. Blinker works. Markers up there are working. Eyeball my tires, which are fine. Make sure that's shut. And we'll come back here. Make sure everything back here is lighting up as it's supposed to. I wonder if I can see the strobe reflecting. Probably not, but make sure my door can open. There it is, and the reverse lights came on like they're supposed to. 2021 bus, and it's already got a gash in the side. How do you do that? I don't know. Did this thing light up? Yeah. I need to pay attention to my own bus. Did I seriously just do that? I cannot believe I just did that. I was not even looking at how close that door was. Golly. Did I do that just now, or was that already there? I don't know. Did I do that just now? Ah, I really hope that was not just now. I hope that was already there. Make sure that's shut. I've had this thing fall open on me before, mid-route. The latch actually broke. Not on this bus, it was a different bus. But the latch broke, and this, every time I hit the brakes, this thing would fly open. So I had to take packing tape. It was the only thing that was on that bus. Now I keep a roll of duct tape with it, but I had to take packing tape and like tape up the side of it so it would stay shut. That was conveniently the same day I got lost on the wrong side of the county, and everything up here looks fine. All right, what time is it? 4:30, 14:30, it's 2:30. Get your numbers right, Lane. All right, let's go to the high school. Shut that. Brought my hat because, as you can see, the GoPro completely wrecks my hair. So when I take this off, when the students get on, I like to have something I can cover it with.
Going around 1, 2, 3. You're in front of me.
Seat belt, come hither. I say. Yeah, I may try to sweep the thing out when I get to when I park at the high school, but if I can't, I'll just do it tonight. I guess it's Thursday. This is our first full week of school, and I knew that because I got home today after the morning route and pretty much fell asleep. Yeah, 5 a.m. mornings are not for the faint of heart, but I'll get used to it. I haven't done it the whole summer, so my body's got to get readjusted to it. If I was smart, I would have started waking up at 5 a couple weeks before in the summer, so I'd get used to it. Naturally, I didn't do that because it's me. Let me lower that down a little bit. All right, I already did that. Inside, outside, everything else is fine. Yeah, there you go. Water temp. Have not even moved yet, and it's already coming up to normal range, so that's how hot it is outside. That being said, let me move that up a little bit. I think we're good to go. I really don't want to tail swing into this bus, so I may back up first. I say that. That bus was not there when I parked this morning. I parked here and then they parked later next to me. So I'm not the one that parked that close. And I'm not sure why they left their door open either, but whatever. All right, let's get out of here. Release that. I'll stand on the brakes for a second and make sure the air stabilizes, which it pretty much has. Go to drive, gradually turn the wheel and watch my back end because I don't want to hit that bus. All right, we're good there. Go ahead and roll it all the way over. Oh, there's somebody behind me coming up. I didn't even see that. Who's that? 02? I was kind of surprised. A lot of the elementary buses that park right here had already left by the time I got here. I had to double check what time it was. I'm like, what time is it? And it was only 2:10, 2:15. So, usually they're still here. All right, let's get out of here. It's actually, it doesn't feel as bad today as it has been temperature-wise. It still sucks, but I mean, I did park the bus this morning and get off and consciously think to myself, hey, it actually feels pretty decent out here. It was low 80s, a little bit of a breeze. I was like, I can deal with that. It's this 100+ degree heat index with enough humidity to drown in. That's when I'm like, all right, I don't know. I think I've kind of become more of a wuss as I've gotten older. I think because when I was a young kid, like, yeah, it was hot but I didn't really care. I just kind of do my thing, and I was like, oh, it's hot, just, you know, hydrate, go for a swim or something. It was hot, but it wasn't like excruciatingly hot. But I guess I've gotten more of a wuss to it as I've gotten older, because now that I'm in my 20s, I'm like, anything above about 90, I'm like, no, don't like it. Don't like it at all. I should have, well, I say that, the AC actually is doing fairly well today. The past couple days I've actually propped open the roof hatches. What you can do is prop them with the front end up like that, and what it'll do is, while you're sitting still, because hot air rises, it'll let some of that hot air bleed out the top. It'll do that, and then when you start moving like this, it'll act kind of like a funnel and funnel some fresh air in. I should have propped them open. I didn't think about it. I was too busy waffling on camera, because as we all know, that's what I do best, right? Waffle on camera. I don't know if I've ever mentioned it. Somebody that drove this bus before me had duct taped something up here. I'm not sure what it was. There's still some of it right there. I didn't do that. And I found out, like, you see I got duct tape on these pieces of paper. Duct tape on this plastic is fine. It comes off very easy. It's not an issue. For some reason, if you get duct tape on the metal right here, it refuses to come off. I guess it's the heat or something during the day, but it kind of melts itself into the metal. So that's why you can still see all of that duct tape residue. You're not very bright, are you? You can see all of this duct tape residue right here. That's a tricky game right there, because a lot of people come through this red light and have to make a left turn there. And because there's no turn lane, they hog up the left lane. So I have to turn left up here, but what I usually do is hang out in the right lane until I get past that turn. And I'm pretty sure that car just wiggled into my lane for a second. But I do that and then hang out here and then move over to the left lane. But then you got to play the weird game of finding a gap in traffic, which I'll take that gap right there. Usually in the afternoons I drive with that open. I'm not right this second, because with the wind noise coming out of it, you wouldn't be able to hear anything I'm saying. Brake, 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 brake. I hate braking coming down a hill. I should have turned the engine brake on. I didn't think about it. That thing is awesome though. You ever trying to slow down coming down a hill? You just kick that thing on and it'll about throw you out of the seat, but it works. It does its job. It's trying to get out of it that's the tricky part, because to get out of engine brake, you either turn the switch off or you get back on the throttle. And either one of those options, when you do it, there's like a weird jolt as it kicks the engine brake off and gets back in gear. So I've kind of figured out that there's a way to ease back on the throttle where it will turn the engine brake off, but it will leave it always downshifts a gear when it does it, but it'll leave it in that lower gear. So if you need to engine brake but you don't need the full power of it, you can turn it on and ease off the throttle all the way until the engine brake kicks on, then come back on it just slightly so that it stays in the lower gear, but it doesn't actively have the engine brake on. And then as you need to slow down more, you let off all the way and the engine brake comes back on. So I've tried doing that backwards, as in engine brake's on, coming on the throttle just enough to turn it off, but leave it in the low gear. And then as I roll out from the bottom of the hill, come back in the throttle and let it change gears naturally. So far, that seems to be the best way to smoothly make that transition. Sometimes you just get to going and you don't think about it, but you guys realize there's a crosswalk back there, right? Speaking of crosswalks, we'll let this person get across. There we go. There was a car over here yesterday, either yesterday or the day before, had a flat tire, like the entire front tire just was wrecked. I guess somebody came and towed it because they disappeared. It's green. Come on. I weigh 15.5 tons empty, and I've only got 200 horsepower. So if I'm outrunning you in this thing, you're not driving fast enough. Here's a question for you. How hard would it be to make manhole covers like that one, or like this one, where they're perfectly level in line with the pavement? See, like that. I didn't even feel that. I didn't feel that one either. These are in line with the pavement. You get in that lane and you start hitting some that they sit below the pavement line like that far. And I can't for the life of me figure out why. I'm sure there's, well, I say that. I'm guessing there's an engineering reason behind it, but I have yet to find out a reason why. Sometimes on hills like that hill right there, you don't even need the engine brake. I just let off the throttle and these buses kind of self-regulate. I'm not sure how else to explain that. They stay in a lower gear longer than you would think they would when you're decelerating. So they kind of keep the revs high, which means that when you come down a hill like that, all you have to really do is let off the throttle and it will kind of hold itself back on its own. And then if you need more, you use the engine brake or the brake pedal. The thing is, the brake pedal on this bus is extremely stiff. You really don't even push it as such. You kind of rest your foot on it and think about pushing it, and the bus will start slowing down. That's how stiff it is. It doesn't move much at all. Which was a stark difference because over the summer I drove a newer bus for an event, and that newer bus had a really soft brake pedal, but it was very, very sensitive. So I'm used to putting a lot of my foot weight into this pedal. I did the same thing on that bus and I about threw myself out the windshield. So I kind of adjusted to that it was much softer and much more sensitive. Then I got back in this bus the first day with my brain thinking of that brake pedal, and I started pushing this one and it was like, nothing happens, nothing happens, nothing happens. Oh, now we'll stop. Each one of these buses has a personality though, which sounds stupid and it probably doesn't make sense until you drive them, but just trust me, every one of these buses has its own personality. Having driven this one for 6 months now, I've gotten to know this one and gotten familiar with it. I know its quirks, I know its tendencies. For example, the phantom engine light that randomly comes on and then disappears for no reason. That's been happening ever since I got the bus. I've had it looked at numerous times. And most of the time it's nothing. Most of the time. Every once in a while it's actually something. Like last semester when it came on and stayed on, and it was trying to tell me that the turbo was dying. That was a legitimate one. But when that happened, the light came on and would pretty much stay. It would go away for a minute or two, but then it would come right back and it would pretty much stay there. Whereas the phantom lights, it's just like it'll show up randomly for no obvious reason and then go away for 2 or 3 days and then come back. I don't know. I have a suspicion if it's like my pickup truck, then it may not be anything mechanical. It may be a knock sensor or something that's dying. Because I know that's what it is in my truck, but I don't know.
Those of my boys are at home sick. I just wanted to let you know so you're not looking for them.
Right. Almost there. What time is it? 2:45. We're doing good. Doing good on time. I found that if you leave the yard at least by 2:30, you'll be fine. Alright, I am actually, the air condition is actually not too bad right this second. It's tolerable. It's not great, but it's tolerable. The downside to that is, if I have a full load of high schoolers, like I have the past couple afternoons, when you get that many human beings trapped inside one place, the air gets kind of hot. Couple that with the fact that because of all the windows and everything, this is like a kettle on wheels, or a greenhouse on wheels, I guess. It does get toasty. I get toasty because I have this big magnifying glass right in front of me that the sun comes in. Which, on a slightly unrelated note, reminds me of driving combines with my grandfather, because the big glass window in the cab of those things, the air conditioning in them was great, but you could either freeze or back the AC down and then the sun would fry you. So it was kind of a hit or miss game. 0242, old spare bus. Not gonna lie, I kind of have a festering hatred for that bus. I'll be glad when it's gone. I know that sounds mean, and some people are like, oh, 42 was my bus back in the day, I loved it, blah, 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 blah. Alright, look, it might have been good back in the day, but it's old as dirt now. It's worn out, it drives like crap, the AC's crap. And back in January or February or something, I drove 42 while this bus was getting a service, and it was 26 degrees Fahrenheit outside. The bus had no working heat. It had heaters, they didn't work. It didn't even have the defrost thing on the window, like those didn't even work. I had to climb on the hood of the bus with a bottle of de-ice fluid, like aviation grade de-ice fluid that some other driver had and they let me borrow. I had a spray bottle of that and an old like ID card, and had to sit on the hood of the bus and scrape the ice off. Scrape the ice off because I'm telling you, the bus had no working heat and it drove me insane. All the kids were like, Mr. Deal, can you turn up the heat? I'm like, guys, I tried, it don't work. Alright, so we're number 3 in the road today. I think right there is good. I was hoping to be up there so that I could, all the kids would be coming from one direction so I could check their names. But I have a feeling they're going to be coming from both directions. Now normally at this point in the year when it's cooler, I would crack a few windows and shut down. But here's the thing, right? We have 10 minutes and it's a billion degrees outside. I'd rather just keep the AC running. If I shut down now and crank back up at 258 or something, it'll take me half of the commute just to get it cold again in here. So yeah, southern problems. I love when you see stuff on Facebook that's all the Yankees talking about, well, at least you don't have to drive in a blizzard. All right, you know what? Look here, Bertha. I'd rather drive in a blizzard than this crap. Maybe that's just me, but I would seriously, I legitimately would rather drive in the snow in this bus than when it's 1,000 degrees out. But like I said, maybe that's just me. So, that being said, leave that up. Let's go take a walk and see. That air feels good. It's actually not horrible right about here. That looks like that's been replaced at some point. Yeah, the air back here is good too. So if you sit right about here, you're gonna have good air. If you sit on this side from about here or forward, so R1, R2, R3, and like the back 2 rows, maybe 3 rows, get good air condition. Everybody else, nope. I try to get, like, it has these little 2 vents that kind of point at me, but if I hold my hand right here I can feel it, but it kind of dissipates by the time it gets over here. So anyways, this is my little notebook I got at Dollar General to keep tabs on my passengers. How this works is I write the date and then I write 4 numbers with a slash separating. This is AM, PM. So this is how many route kids I pick up in the morning. And then after we do the transfer and I go to the high school, then this is how many commuter kids got off the bus, which includes my high school kids and the high schoolers I get from another bus. That's how many I drop at the high school. Slash for the PM shift, it's how many high schoolers I pick up at the high school. So right now I'm gonna write whatever the number is right here, and then how many route kids I drop off right there. Now notice the high school pickup 48, 35 is the normal usually, but like 48, 46, 48. Let me show you why that number's not good. If you walk back here, here's the seats, okay? Now anybody who's ridden one of these school buses knows these are not comfortable seats. They're very cramped. Now the manufacturers advertise these buses as 72 passenger. Actually, I can't remember if this one is, but they'll say 72 passenger. That number is based on 3 students per seat. Here's the thing, right? That works for kindergartners because they're short. It does not work for high schoolers or middle schoolers. Let me show you, okay? I am about 6 foot tall. My gosh. I am 6 foot tall. I'm sitting here. There's my knees. Rest in pieces the back of whoever's in front of me. So if you're one to a seat, that's actually not bad. You can kind of turn like this. But if I get 2 high schoolers in the seat, especially if they're tall, they're both having, plus they have backpacks. Their backpacks are under their feet and they're both sitting like this. Now look at how much room I'm taking up. There's no way you're fitting 3 people to a seat, okay? There are 24 seat units in here, which means when I have 48 people on this bus, that is 2 high schoolers in every single seat. So 48, when I'm putting 2 to a seat, which is all I really want to do, 48 is my maximum load. I'm supposed to only have about 35-ish in the afternoons. But as you can see by those numbers, I've had cram-packed loads pretty much every single day.